Welcome to the Healing Her Story podcast, a podcast where we reclaim our stories, reconnect with our bodies, and remember the wisdom we were never taught and yet always carried. I'm your host, Riva Jean-Paul, a trauma-informed somatic practitioner, menstrual cycle coach, interdisciplinary artist, and guide for women walking the path of healing, awakening, and becoming. This show is for the woman who's tired of holding it all together, for the one who's done the talk therapy, read the books, and tried to meditate her way through the pain, and is now ready to go deeper. We live in a world that asks so much of women, a world that rewards our silence, praises our productivity, and shames our sensitivity. The systems we've been raised in were not built for our bodies, our rhythms, or our truth. But here, we do things differently. Together, we explore the cycles of the natural world and the menstrual cycle, the medicine of somatics, the power of creative expression, and the radical act of slowing down. Each episode is a journey through personal reflections, seasonal rhythms, expert conversations, and the deeper layers of what it means to heal from the inside out. Because healing isn't about fixing what's broken, because I do not believe you are broken. It's about remembering who you are and reconnecting with the wisdom and the healing intelligence that lives inside of you. I am so glad you are here. Let's begin. Fighting for the voice of the womb, diving to the depths of my womb, singing the truth of my womb, trusting the phases of the moon. Hello, love. Welcome back to this week's Cycle Sync episode on the Healing Her Story podcast. Before we begin, I'd like to invite us into a minute of silence. And in this minute of silence, I encourage you to come into a state of more presence, whatever that may look like for you today, whether you're driving or maybe getting ready for work, or perhaps doing some chores around the home. Taking a few moments here to maybe slow down and to just check in and notice what's here for you. Notice how you're feeling, noticing how your energy level is, noticing also maybe how your mood is, and also maybe noticing what's happening in the environment around you. And also maybe what you may be sensing in the more subtle realms and unseen layers that we can't always touch and feel, but we can sense with our deepest inner knowing. And I've got little Liz Lemon here doing this check-in with us as well today. Maybe you can hear her meowing in the background. And we'll get started with this minute of silence now. That was a minute. I hope that minute was insightful for you, or perhaps maybe just a nice opportunity to enjoy some space during your
presumably very busy and full life, as I know so many of us live such busy and full lives in this modern day and age. I myself am on cycle day 12, and I'm just about to be approaching my inner summer. And I know I've shared on the last few cycle check-ins that my cycles have had a little bit of a challenging start as I've been having to work during my last 3 bleeds now, I think. And this last bleed was no different. And I guess I wouldn't even say unfortunately, it just is what it is, and it was what it was. And I find that the more I prepare and the more that I really take care of myself in the ways that I know that I need, that my bleed is not so bad. And although I was working and having to be more outwardly focused and more on my feet than I would have really liked, I didn't have any pain. My cramping was pretty manageable, if not minimal, if at all. And my cycle was relatively short, and I was able to get through things. And it's been a nice, just a confirmation, I guess, of how resilient our bodies really can be, even in unideal situations. I truly believe that with the right support and the right tools, that we really can do maybe not anything, but we can often do more than we think. And so I've been reminded of that a lot during these last few bleeds. And again, just been prioritizing the things that I know that I need. And I find that it really does make all the difference. So that's where I'm at. And as always, you're always welcome to share where you are at in your cycle. And you can do that in a couple of ways. You can do that, one, by leaving a comment if you're listening on Spotify. And two, we also just started a new Instagram account. I know if you've been here listening to our episodes and conversations on social media, then you might know that I have not been spending much time on social media. And I've recently decided to start dipping my toes back in a very intentional way. And one thing that I did was create a podcast account. So you can find that in the show notes now. You'll find a link to our Instagram account. And if you'd like to post your cycle check-in while you're tuning in, it would be so wonderful if you would tag us. We'd love to hear about where you are in your cycle and how things are feeling for you. This week, we're tuning to the energy of the Waxing Gibbous Moon during the week of August 4th. The part of the lunar cycle that invites us to build momentum, heighten awareness, and fine-tune our focus. And interestingly enough, this phase has been working me this past week too. One of my sacred cycle practices is to pull an oracle card reading, or rather to give myself an oracle card reading from one of my favorite oracle card decks, and that is the Sacred Cycles Oracle card deck. And I do this reading right as I'm entering my inner spring. This is the time right after my bleed when I'm beginning to emerge back into the world with fresh eyes and renewed energy, which I may add was still a bit challenging on this last cycle, as I've already shared. I didn't quite get the rest that I know that I needed during my last bleed, finishing up this last leg of the performing arts summer camp program that I've had the privilege and the honor and the joy to manage over this past summer. I will say I did the best I could, though. I prioritized rest and hydration, and I really sat with what I was experiencing. And as I'm going into this oracle card reading, I invite that in. And I also sit with what's on my calendar for the weeks ahead. And I really feel into what it is that I might need most, and I let the oracle cards speak. This time I pulled the Waxing Gibbous Moon card, which is the phase that we're in right now if you're listening to this as it's coming out. And I thought that I might share this card with you today, as I felt it is a wonderful invitation and exploration for this waxing gibbous phase that we find ourselves in. It reads, I am fully embodied. The waxing gibbous phase, just before the moon reaches her full brightness, is a moment of heightened energy and illumination. As you near the peak of your own energy, this is an invitation into a somatic experience, specifically an experience of what it's like to be in your sacred body right here, right now. This physical container offers you never-ending wisdom and feedback for your growth. You are being asked to pause here. In the midst of whatever may be swirling around you, feel what a wonder it is to be in this body. The human experience is vast, complex, and nuanced. Yet here you are, with the unique opportunity to continue navigating it with the outlook of your choosing. Tap into your creative power. Ask yourself what you desire to feel in this moment, and consider what could support you in making that your reality. Know that it is safe to welcome the mystery and the magic, and to be an active participant in defining your own experience. Reflection prompt. How would it feel to know I can fully trust in my physical body? What could I do if I had this trust? This has really been a powerful invitation for me to explore this last week in my inner spring. And this week, I'm inviting you to explore it too. And as I do, I also can't help but wonder if you know what it means to feel, what a wonder it is to be in your body. Especially if your body has been an unsafe or an uncomfortable place to be in. Whether you're dealing with old, deep wounds, chronic pain, or maybe gut issues, sometimes the last place we want to be is in the body. I know that was the case for me for so many years, and there were a few things that really helped me to feel safe in my body and to really see what a blessing and a gift it is to be in the body, and for my experience specifically being in a female body, being in the body of a woman. I first want to say that you may not get to feeling good and safe right away, and that's okay. And maybe you can get to feeling exactly that, feeling even just okay. Maybe even getting to a point of neutrality where you're not necessarily making what you're feeling or experiencing a problem, but rather accepting it for what it is, which I know can be easier said than done. And the more you begin to dip your toes in even just a little bit in a safe and digestible way, over time, you'll begin to feel okay with more and more. Breathwork was the first practice that helped me with this, and I know I've talked about it several times on the show before, and if you haven't heard any of those episodes, I invite you to scroll back and to look for a few of the episodes that we have on somatic breathwork. There's one other thing I haven't talked much about, and that is tracking. Tracking what's happening in your body and in your environment all of the time. Now, at first, this can sound daunting, and I think that eventually it can become second nature. It's like learning to drive a manual car if you've had that experience. At first, it's a lot to keep track of. but over time, it becomes more natural. So throughout your day, I invite you to notice if your jaw is clenched, if your shoulders are tight, if something makes you take a deeper breath, or if something causes a lot of activation. It's a practice, and if there's any week to explore this practice, it's this week, because your body and the nervous system may be trying to speak to you, offering guidance, wisdom, and insight to bring your intentions, desires, and creative visions and projects into their fullest expression. I truly believe that there is an infinite well of wisdom and vitality living inside of you. I believe that your body knows exactly how to heal, grow, and create in its perfect divine timing and way. You just need the right tools and the right support to access it. If you need help with that this week, you can find some free somatic meditations in the show notes. And I've also included a link for the Sacred Cycles Oracle card deck as well. So I invite you to explore that. And if you feel like it's something that might support you in your cyclical journey, then perhaps maybe consider making an investment. I know there's also a journal that comes with this. I haven't used the journal, but I love the Oracle card deck and I use it every single month. Also, if you happen to use the Sacred Cycle Oracle deck, I would invite you to tag us again over on Instagram and let us know how it's supporting you. Before I go, I do also want to invite you to join me for the upcoming Mending the Mother Moon weekend immersion. This is a free 3-day event I'm offering August 22nd to August 24th. It'll be a new moon weekend, and if my cycle goes anything like the last few have, I'll probably on my bleed, and it'll be a powerful weekend for us to rest, to restore, and to nurture ourselves. And we'll be starting the weekend off on Friday evening with our opening ceremony, where we will be doing not exactly this, but pretty close to this. One of the first steps that I always begin with when I'm working with a new client is this idea of creating safety. And that is not just safety within myself and the client, as we need to feel this sense of trust and rapport between the two of us. There's also this sense of safety that is created with the structure of a container by being clear and explicit about the guidelines and the expectations. And then there's also this phase, this process of creating safety in the body as well. And as I've shared and talked about on the show before, healing becomes extremely difficult, if not impossible, if we don't feel safe in our bodies and safe in what we're feeling and what we're experiencing. And so I'll be offering a few practices that will really help you to do this, not just in the space that we'll be sharing together, and also in your own practices and with your own exploration with yourself as well. So I hope that you'll join me then. Recordings will not be available for this event, so be sure to join us live. And you can also find more details for that in the show notes.
Thanks so much for making it till the end of today's episode. Before you go, if this episode spoke to your heart, moved something in you, or offered a moment of clarity, or perhaps helped you to feel even just a little bit more seen or heard or understood, I invite you to please share this episode with a friend. Together, we create space for the feminine frequency to rise, not just in us as individuals, but in our families, in our communities, and ultimately in our collective. And this is how we do it, by sharing one story at a time, by having one conversation at a time, by taking one small step at a time. And if you're wanting to support the podcast even more, it truly helps to leave a 5-star rating and review. Your words help other women find this space, feel seen, and know that they're not alone on their healing journeys. As a thank you, when you leave a review, take a screenshot and email it to me at riva@windsofchangesac.com. I'll give you a free registration to our online trauma-informed breathwork circle for women held on Zoom every third Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a powerful space for release, restoration, and real connection. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for helping this work ripple outward. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Fighting for the voice of the womb, clearing the pain from your womb, creating new life from your womb, rebuilding with the phases of the moon.